043 496 584.
You're listening to Peterborough's community radio, Salaam Radio. Salaam Radio, 106.2 FM.
Good evening. You're tuned into Salaam Radio 106.2 FM. It's 8 p.m. and welcome to the Tech Factor Live, the first show of 2026. I'm Akil and tonight I'm joined by Joel and Fasil. Joel is the guy who can turn it off and on again into a Netflix series. Season 1, The Router Reboot. Season 2, Why You Didn't Wait 10 Seconds. And Fasil treats every gadget like a courtroom drama. Exhibit A, the price. Exhibit B, does it actually improve my life? Gentlemen, how are you?
Also, how are you?
Very, very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Good to be back.
Well, did you enjoy the intros?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put a bit of effort into that, actually. Okay, so here's the plan for tonight. Topic 1, UK Wi-Fi and broadband, why it's good in the hallway and tragic in the bedroom. Topic 2, phone bills and subscriptions, the monthly mystery where your bank statement looks like it's been possessed. And then we hit the cool stories, and we end with the quantum quiz. Fast, ruthless, and unnecessary levels of competitiveness, as we know. So, Joel, Faisal, Happy New Year to you both. Lots of tech news over the last, I would say, 3 months. But certainly 2026 looks like it's going to be awesome and with a lot of buffering, I assume.
Absolutely incredible end to the year. Technology, since we were last on air, has moved, it seems, so far, so fast. And you know, there's not enough shows that we could do that would fit it all in.
I agree with you. And Faisal, of course, I know we talk about AI quite a lot, and certainly throughout 2025 and 2024, but certainly 2025, a lot of the talk is about ChatGPT. Would you say now the likes of Claude and Perplexity and Gemini and Copilot, and you know, they're starting to get a real foothold now in the market?
Yeah, and each app or each language model or each interface is ideal for a different scenario or different type of person. You know, depends what you work in constantly. Maybe where you work, they might restrict what you do. I mean, I use 3 of them for 3 different purposes.
Ditto. I'm the same. What about you, Joel?
I think they've absolutely all caught up with each other. Yeah. Previously when they sort of came out, ChatGPT was definitely king. Yeah, he was ruling the roost. He was, the one that everyone was benchmarking again. But since then, Google's caught up, Claude's caught up. They do specialize in things individually, but they've all caught up. Image generation as well, absolutely caught up. Everyone, can pretty much produce, the same kind of images without 20 fingers and, weird things coming out of people's heads and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's been really good.
Yeah, it just reminds me when it first came out. Do you remember that Will Smith video?
Yeah.
Yeah, and incidentally, when you mentioned about images, of course, today, 9th January, we know that X is in trouble because of its Grok AI images.
Breaking news,
unfolding breaking
news.
The law as well.
Wow.
But that isn't the topic for tonight. We just wanted to touch base with that. Of course, it will be something that we'll discuss just like last year because it's moving at such pace. So the big myth, Wi-Fi and the internet. Let's get properly informed, yeah? When people say my Wi-Fi is bad, it's usually 2 things getting mixed up. 1, the internet connection coming into the house, and 2, the Wi-Fi signal inside the house. I find when you speak to someone and they say, oh, the Wi-Fi is down, they never talk about the internet. They always say the Wi-Fi is down because there's a lack of understanding, unless you're in the tech world, of what the 2 are. Wouldn't you agree?
Definitely, 100%. I mean, a lot of the time when there's speed issues, people assume it's the internet provider. I'm not saying it isn't. In a lot of cases, it may not be. It's possibly there's a signal issue. Maybe they're using it in the bedroom upstairs, or it might be conflicting with next door neighbours' Wi-Fi. Maybe they're on a similar kind of device and it's not changing the frequency or channel automatically. So, yeah, I mean, I've personally experienced those issues a few years ago.
Okay, let's take that on then. So, if you stand, let's try a quick test. If you were to stand right next to your router and it's fast there but slow upstairs, your broadband might be fine, but your coverage is the issue, would you say, Joel?
Yeah, there's lots of complications too. I'm just going to try and keep it sort of quite simple. So it's very, very rare that you'll find that your Wi-Fi it's nearly always slower than what the speed you'll read at your socket. It rarely hits the expected speed, and that's mainly because Wi-Fi has so many sort of digital overheads. Yeah, so it has to wrap your data in security and various other things. So I've got some figures here. So physical barriers. So if you're using 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, in the same room you can expect around about 90 to 100. If you're in the same room as your wireless router, you can expect around about 90 to 100% of the speed what you get at the socket. But if you go next room one wall away, that's already drops to 50 to 70% of the speed.
Wow.
You go 2 rooms away, that's 20 to 30% of the speed. If you're then behind brick or other metal, so if you've got thicker walls rather than stud walls in your house, that can have a massive difference. You're talking like a 5 to 10%
on top.
No, speed that of what you get at your socket.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, on your device, you're only seeing about 5 to 10% of how fast it is at the socket.
Yeah, that's interesting because I've got a family member who lives in a house that was built a long time ago, and the router's in the centre of the house, and the room next door, literally one wall stairs and then the next wall, and it's almost non-existent.
Yeah, because we're blessed in this country by having such old buildings as well. The stone buildings have got such thick stone walls, you're talking like 30 centimetres or more of solid stone. And Wi-Fi signals in those kind of places, from I'm talking about a single point. I mean, we can get onto mesh setups and all that kind of stuff.
We will, yeah.
In a few minutes. But from a single Wi-Fi point in that house, yeah, especially the older ones made of stone, absolute nightmare.
So then, Faisal, tell me, do you think, which one do you think, most people in the UK actually have? Is it bad broadband or bad coverage?
It could be a combination of both. It depends on where they're living. I mean, I've had bad broadband where I live, and I suffered with it for many years. Yeah. And I tried other providers. It was still bad. And aside from broadband, our 5G signal's terrible. Even the 4G is terrible.
So is it the construction of your house then?
It could be. I mean, it could possibly be. What I also find is if I'm upstairs, I've got better coverage in terms of mobile coverage. But in terms of Wi-Fi, it was similar. So when I had the unit downstairs, coverage was so good. But when I had an extender, well, we'll talk about that later on, I put it in the loft and I got fabulous coverage across the whole house.
Do you live in a bunker?
Seems like it sometimes.
I'm sure it does. Let's go through some of the jargon, right? So FTTC versus FTTP without boring people, okay? In the UK, we get sold words like fibre, full fibre, up to 900 meg. So let's translate this. So FTTC is fibre to the street cabinet, then older cable to your house. The last stretch can be the bottleneck. And then you have FTTP, is fibre all the way into your home, generally more consistent. So, up to 900 meg is like becoming a billionaire, technically possible, spiritually unlikely.
Yeah, and I think that what listeners have to sort of bear in mind is if you have got older cabling coming to your house, like traditional telephone wire that's carrying your broadband, if that broadband has a speed of only 30 megabits per second, for example, even if you have like a Wi-Fi 7 capable router, which has the potential of doing 10,000 megabits per second of data, your device will still be 30.
Because of that bottleneck.
Exactly, because there is a natural bottleneck between the two. But if you've got ultra fast, like gigabit optical fibre straight into your building, and then you put it on a very old 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi connection, you're not going to be able to achieve what you're getting at your socket. So again, it's a balancing act between what's actually delivered to that socket using the technologies that you just talked about, versus matching it up with the right kind of Wi-Fi technology.
Yeah, and I think it goes further, doesn't it, Faisal? I remember when I first started to learn about Wi-Fi, and as it, just like AI, rapidly, you can see the technology moving in the receiving device. So you could have, just like Joel described, you could have this, I'm talking, 10, 20, 15 years ago, you could have, broadband to your home, and then the laptop, the Wi-Fi device within the laptop, if that had old technology, again, the receiving bit wouldn't get that, would it?
No, and also I remember, I don't know if it's still the case, because now I think we're splitting the channels into separate Wi-Fis, but in those days I remember if one device was slower than the rest, all the devices would be at the slowest speed.
Wow. That must have been a real pain for businesses.
Yeah. So Wi-Fi came in around about 1999 with what is labelled as B. Yeah. So they go through sort of like these different sort of lettering iterations, and they continue to use those today. Yeah. And back in 1999, that B network, 2.4 gigahertz frequency, would only be capable of carrying like 11 megabits per second.
Yeah.
So it's
just thinking about that
by
now.
today's standards.
Yeah.
If you've got very old equipment and you're still trying to connect your gigabit socket connection using like really old Wi-Fi cards and things like that, you could be bottlenecking there right at that technology, which is so old. And then as we come through the years, it slowly gets faster and faster. So then we start seeing G and N. That's 2003, 2009 still. And they're starting to get up to 54 megabits per second, 150, and then more modern sort of iterations of the lettering is AC, AX, and BE, and again they are within the last 10 years, and they're capable of sort of like 1300 or more, right up to sort of modern day release last year BE. It's like 30,000 megabytes or more, and it's designed to support sort of like 6 gigahertz frequency and stuff like that. More modern routers, as well, are capable of handling different devices that are using those different those different standards of Wi-Fi.
And then looking at both of you with with your phones, etc., we know that Apple, we know that Samsung and the like are putting in these new chips, so that the receiving, they can receive much more data quickly. So essentially, what we're saying tonight then is that Wi-Fi is radio waves, so your house design matters. The biggest signal killers are thick walls, metal, and weirdly, mirrors can bounce signals, and fish tanks can mess with it too. If your router is behind the TV next to the microwave, under the stairs, or in the cupboard, you've basically built a Wi-Fi prison. And I know so many people who put their Wi-Fi router behind their TV or on a media rack behind and not understanding how that works. So some routers essentially have never seen daylight. They don't need firmware updates. They need vitamin D. Would you agree?
Yeah, and also, where this main socket is, it's always generally towards the front door of the house.
Yeah.
And that's where your router is. It's biased towards the front. It's very rare that you can actually get that router to be inside, like the deeper parts of your property where you're actually living and you want good signal.
Yeah. Okay. So then let's talk about placement then. So where would you say like a central placement is key?
Yeah, for me the router comes in under my stairs, which is kind of in the middle of the house, and then I've got an extender up in the loft. That was only because I couldn't get the coverage in the other bedrooms. But
Okay, I'll tell you what I have then. I've got what I call a Wi-Fi enabled Ethernet network. Okay, so what I've done is I've got the router centrally placed and higher up, and next to that I've connected a mesh disk, and into the mesh disk I've put a network switch, and then I've done the same in 3 other parts of the house. Okay, and so essentially what I've done is moved away critical devices from being on Wi-Fi. They are all on Ethernet, but it runs through this mesh network, which is Wi-Fi, which is wireless. And I've done that, and it works really, really well. We've got an unimaginable amount of devices connected on Wi-Fi, which are either 2.4 gigahertz or 5, depending on what it is. But consoles, TVs, PCs, even this Mac. What I've done with the Mac, obviously with the MacBook, you don't have an Ethernet port, right? So I've got a USB-C device, which is an Ethernet port. I just connect that, and this runs off the Ethernet as well at home. So I've learned this from being in a house previously where the walls were really, really thick. We just couldn't get a signal. And then I decided, okay, what can I do here? And then and now certain providers like Vodafone, I'm sure there's others as well, they've got the 6E mesh discs that they give you.
Yeah. So I was going to say, so that's all very well and good. Like, you're really technical minded and you can set that kind of complex infrastructure up in your own home. But if you're not technically minded, what can you do about it? And the one thing that lots of ISPs now provide is like a Wi-Fi guarantee. So if you say, I've not got signal in my bedroom, or I've not got signal at the back of the house because your router's located near your front door where your main line comes in, then they will, either rent you or provide for free, depending on what package you've got, extender discs. And how the extended disc works is essentially you'll either have one plugged into your main router, and then the other ones will sort of piggyback off that one disc, and it will take the signal and carry the signal to places where you need it, which is the road that I've gone down. And we did it sort of 5-6 years ago. We're on our second iteration of it because we've upgraded that as Wi-Fi signals got faster and our main socket speeds got faster. We've had to upgrade that infrastructure to benefit, to get the benefit from our main socket and things
That
like
makes
that.
sense.
But you can work with your ISP as well, and they will help you try and set up a Wi-Fi network.
I've got an interesting experience to share with you both. So I left Virgin Media many years ago because they were absolutely fine for a long time, and then there was an issue and it just wasn't getting resolved. So I thought, okay, let me go out there and see what's available. So at that time I joined EE's network, and it's one of the worst decisions I've ever made in my life. And they were trying to hack. So I couldn't get the network to work. I wasn't getting any speeds. I wasn't even getting anything around the house. And in the contract, they had written a really tiny percentage of connection. As long as you get that, you're still locked in. But I was able to prove it was just below it, and I was able to get myself out of contract. And it was really, really bad experience. With Vodafone now, all good, no issues.
Yeah. That is good.
But they also gave me a 4G dongle in the back of the routers. If it ever goes down, this will just kick in until they get the situation resolved. What about yourself? Do you have any story, a major incident at home with Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I used to have issues. I'm not going to name the provider, but it was during day hours, so 9 to 5, and most people aren't at home. So I was on residential broadband, working from home. So when I ring them up, they say there's no other reported incidents. It must be your broadband. But then I'd say to them, look, there's no one in the street. Everyone's gone to work. I'm working from home. I need the broadband. So then they advised me to go on the business package. Now, then what would happen is whenever it go down, they'd fix it within, 12 hours or whatever the SLA was. But it was still an issue, So then I switched providers, and with the current one, again, I'm with Vodafone there. I've not had any major issues, but there are times when there is a major issue, it is a major issue.
Yeah.
Then nothing's available. You can't watch TV because you don't have the aerial or satellite dish anymore.
Yeah.
That becomes a problem. Your laptops with work, everything becomes a problem. So what I've personally done is I keep my mobile network different to the broadband network.
That's
so
smart.
Then I can just use that as a hotspot. Worst case scenario for work purposes. But
that's really good, because I got caught with that with the reset. I think it was a year ago. There was an outage. The mobile and the broadband was.
I think
on
it's
the same network.
Vodafone not long ago. Yeah.
And it was a nationwide thing.
Yeah.
And then I was thought to myself, it's time to jump off that now and go to a different network. At least that way you've got a redundancy, don't you think, John?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
So what we're saying then here as a piece of advice is free central placement, higher up, reboot properly. Free, choose the right band. So if your device will tell you, if it's a mobile device or if it's a smart plug or whatever, it will tell you whether it needs to be on a 2.4 gigahertz network, which goes further but it's slower, and you have a 5 gigahertz network, which is faster, but you need to be close by. So you need to understand those two things. And these are two free options. The other one is make sure if you have a TV and a console, if you can, try and wire them in as Ethernet wins for stability. But if you have got money and you've got a big house with thick walls, a mesh Wi-Fi system is the grown-up solution. Wouldn't you say?
100%.
I
Do
agree.
not regret ever moving to a mesh one.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree with you. Okay, let's move on to the next topic for the evening. This is phone bills, subscriptions. Stop paying for digital nonsense. Open your banking app and tell me this isn't true. You'll see charges like Premium Ultra Pro Max, and you'll think, do I own that? Am I subscribed to a lifestyle? Joel, what's the worst subscription you've accidentally kept?
Okay, so this has happened quite recently, and I purchased some software, and at the end of the checkout, it was just like, oh, you can claim this for free and you can claim that for free. So one of it was a subscription to an online audiobook service, and the other one was a free pair of underpants. And
That wasn't even.
Well, you gain one every month.
and I wasn't expecting this, but I got suckered into it anyway. Long story short, I was just like, I'm going to claim my free pair of underpants. And then I realised this is a subscription service. And it was about £7 a month. And I was thinking, who is subscribing to have their underwear delivered to them every single month for £7 a month? So I didn't go through with it, obviously. But when you said that we were covering subscription services, I was just like, that is probably one of the most random subscription services I've ever ever come across.
Yeah.
Wow. So that was quite a strange one.
Faisal, I mean, well, I hope you can. I don't know if you can beat this, but you do look like a man who cancels subscriptions mid-trial out of principle. Is that true?
I for my personal subscriptions, I cancel straight away. I do that now because what happens is the renewal comes, annually or whatever it is, and then you think, oh, I haven't used that for a whole year, now it's renewed again. So what I do deliberately now is I just subscribe to it, and then I cancel the subscription, as in like it'll continue until the date.
I'll do the same.
Yeah.
Try and pay for a year.
Yeah,
I think
that's right.
that's
So, okay, both of you, can you name a subscription, one subscription you'd actually defend? Faisal?
What do you mean defend? Like
You've got it. You whether you use it or not, it's something you have to keep. You need to have.
Yeah,
that.
got one straight away.
I know you've got one. Okay, you're thinking. Go for it, Joel.
YouTube Premium.
YouTube
will die on that hill. There is lots of people out there that are just like, I'm never subscribing. They shouldn't have adverts on it. This, that, and the other. And I tell you what, I will die on the hill and say that my YouTube Premium subscription is one of the only ones that I would cling to.
Why?
Because a couple of things, my entire family can use it ad-free, and YouTube is probably, for all of us in my house, it's one of our biggest content, the thing that has the content on that we absorb the most.
Okay, that makes sense.
So it is entertainment, it is learning, it is music, it is family share, it is ad-free, apart from obviously inbuilt sponsorship for the videos and stuff like that. But it's it's the thing that we all use nearly all of the time for loads of little different things. How to set up smart home, different recipes, cooking class, makeup, painting, schoolwork. It's all on it, and that's absolutely the one thing that we've ever said. If one of us lost our jobs or we came into financial problems, that's the one thing that would stay. We'd get rid of like Amazon Prime, we'd get rid of Netflix, we'd get rid of Disney Plus, and by the time we've looked at all of our different subscriptions, we would save an awful lot of money actually per month. But at the moment, while you can afford it, we just carry on with them. But we've always said,
you've made the case.
We've always said that's the last one.
Very, very strong there, Joel.
Yeah.
And now, with that in mind,
I thought of it, yeah. iCloud storage.
Oh,
you
yeah.
see?
See? Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
So why is that? Because there's so many other providers out there.
We're all running on iPhones. I've got the family thing. I've got 6 users on it, and all of our phones and iPads and whatever are backed up on there. And I've also got, Apple TV isn't something I'm desperately going to keep. If I needed to get rid of it, I could get rid of that. In fact, I actually found out recently I was paying for that twice. So I was paying for it through the Apple subscription, but then I was getting a free thing through my bank account. So then what I did was I cancelled it, just changed my plan slightly. But I think it has to be iCloud storage. It'd just be such a faff for me to change that to anything.
So
in fact, I'll probably lose everything, wouldn't I? Where would I go?
Not straight away. Yeah, they give you some time to get it back.
Yeah,
so what you're saying is, both of you, it's a family ecosystem situation.
Yeah, I guess so. And of course, we're talking about YouTube Premium and Netflix as subscription services when, some smarter people out there might be saying, well, yeah, but you subscribe to your gas and you subscribe to your electricity and you subscribe to, your water rates and all this kind of stuff. But that's kind of, although you are paying monthly for that kind of thing, it's different. We're talking about low level, things that you could actually live without.
Yeah, we're talking about necessities versus luxuries.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. I think for me it would be OneDrive.
Yeah.
And just like Faze, I've got so much stuff in there. Because I chop and change between operating systems and things, having OneDrive means I don't have to worry about iOS or Android or Microsoft. It's just that it works on all of them.
Yeah, that's good.
And that would be for me. I think it would be OneDrive. Although what I would say is I'm a bit of a news junkie. So for a long period of time, I was subscribed to Apple's News Plus.
Yeah.
And because you get magazines and stuff with that as well. And so I did that for a long time. But now I'm just trying to get journalism in a slightly different way. And I'm trying to subscribe to only a couple of newspapers, and then the rest of it trying to find it. The issue we've got is there's so much information out there, and people will read something surface level and think, okay, that's what's happened. But you need to cross-reference it a little bit and understand what's actually going on.
So recently I was looking at Ground News, which again is they have a free tier, but they have a subscription tier, and I was just like, oh yeah, I'll probably subscribe to that, but I'm just like, it's another subscription.
Yeah.
I can't take on another subscription, so I'm sort of like just persevering with the free version. And that's happened a couple of times recently where I'm just like, oh, that seems really good. Oh, but subscription, weather apps and like a Ground News, and then all of a sudden you've got all these other little bits and pieces that are just creeping in. Yeah, all these little apps now as well.
Yeah. Totally agree with you. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to value, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What kind of value does that? What that app brings to you. In the second half of the show, of course, we will go through some of what I call the subscription leak test. We'll have a look around, give you some advice on how you could have this check-in once a month to see whether or not you're paying for something you're not using. I think the one thing that happened earlier on today, somebody mentioned that lots of people are signing up for the gym, and they're probably not going to go in February, but this is the perfect business subscription for the gym community. See you after the break.
Stay tuned to Salaam Radio after this short ad break.
It's healthy, nutritional and halal. It's The Lads, your first choice